get real-time Secretary of State data. So we offer real-time, as in whatever reflects on the Secretary of State, we are going to have it for you. We can even get screenshots. So that data will be there available as screenshots, documents where it's available, officers where it's available. We're gonna get all the data that you can get from the Secretary of State. We can get it. We have integrations into all 51 states. And when a business registers, when they start, they have to register their business. And the Secretary of State tracks things, especially, this is what most people want, is things like the status, like is the business in good standing? And this is to help them assess risk. The big things they're looking for are fraud. Is this business real or is it not real? We went through and we did a research project where we wanted to find all the different statuses that exist with the Secretary of State. We found 402 different statuses in all 50 states. This is kind of a big deal. Let's say that you, as the savvy commercial underwriter you are underwriting a business for a commercial loan, and you see the status come back from the Secretary of State as suspended. What does that mean? Is that a concern? Should you hold off on this loan when everything else looks great? Well, we're going to talk about this more in this video. So it's really important that you understand the different statuses that each Secretary of State provides and what they mean. Today, we're going to walk through the statuses specific to a certain state. Texas's 11 business entity statuses you need to know. Number 1, exemption. This status indicates that the entity has been granted an exemption from certain filing or regulatory requirements under specific conditions outlined by Texas law. Lenders should be aware that while exempted entities may have reduced regulatory burdens, this status could potentially impact the availability of public records or standard financial documentation, necessitating additional due diligence in the lending process. Let's proceed to number 2, involuntary termination. This status means the entity's existence has been terminated by the state without the entity's consent, typically due to failure to comply with legal requirements such as filing annual reports or paying necessary fees. For lenders, this status is a significant red flag, indicating severe non-compliance issues and likely operational instability, which would substantially increase lending risk and potentially render the entity ineligible for most financing options. Number 3, involuntary termination of registration. Similar to involuntary termination, this status indicates that a foreign entity's registration to conduct business in Texas has been terminated by the state due to non-compliance with state requirements. Lenders should view this status as a major concern, as it suggests the entity is no longer legally authorized to operate in Texas, potentially impacting its ability to generate revenue and repay loans in the state. Let's proceed to number 4, registration. This status indicates that the entity is properly registered with the state of Texas and has filed all necessary paperwork to legally operate within the state. For lenders, this status generally suggests a baseline level of compliance and operational legitimacy, which can be viewed favorably in initial risk assessments, though further financial due diligence would still be necessary. Number 5, registration exemption. This status indicates that the entity is exempt from registering with the state, usually under specific statutory conditions that apply to certain types of organizations or activities. Lenders should note that while the status may be legitimate, it could potentially limit the availability of standard public records, requiring additional verification of the entity's legal status and financial health during the lending process. Let's proceed to number 6, registration in suspense. This status indicates that the entity's registration is temporarily suspended, often pending resolution of compliance issues such as missing filings or unpaid fees. For lenders, this status raises concerns about the entity's current operational status and financial stability, suggesting a need for careful investigation into the reasons for suspension and the likelihood of resolution before considering any lending decisions. Number 7, suspense. This status signifies that the entity's operations are temporarily suspended. It may be due to administrative reasons or ongoing investigations which prevent the entity from conducting normal business activities. Lenders should view this status as a significant risk factor, indicating potential legal or financial issues that could severely impact the entity's ability to generate revenue and meet loan obligations. Now let's proceed to number 8, voluntary termination. This status means the entity has voluntarily chosen to terminate its existence. The decision is typically made by the entity's owners or board of directors and involves filing the necessary termination documents with the state. For lenders, this status effectively eliminates lending opportunities, as the entity is in the process of ceasing operations and winding down its affairs. Number 9, voluntary termination exemption. This status indicates that an entity is exempt from certain requirements related to voluntary termination, possibly under specific conditions or laws applicable to its business type. Lenders should approach entities with this status cautiously, as it suggests the business is in the process of termination, albeit under special circumstances, which could significantly impact its ability to repay loans or maintain operations. Number 10, voluntary termination of registration. This status applies to foreign entities that have voluntarily chosen to terminate their registration to do business in Texas and have filed the necessary documents to cease operations in the state. Lenders should consider this status as a clear indication that the entity is no longer authorized to conduct business in Texas, significantly increasing lending risk and potentially eliminating lending opportunities within the state. Number 11, voluntary termination of registration exemption. This status means that the entity is exempt from specific requirements related to the voluntary termination of its registration under conditions defined by Texas law. For lenders, this status suggests that the entity is in the process of ceasing operations in Texas under special circumstances, which could significantly impact its ability to generate revenue or repay loans within the state, necessitating careful evaluation of any lending decisions. All right, let's look at an example if we wanted to do something like this and kind of how Cobalt Intelligence can help you with this. This right here is an example using this API. Now, Cobalt Intelligence is an API first, where the idea is that you can get all this data via API and get it integrated right into your system. Let's say you search for this business, 109 Franklin RC in California. So we're gonna hit send, and this is what we get back. Now, the status is suspended FTB, and this right here, specifically for California, is the Franchise Tax Board, which means it's delinquent with its taxes in California. Not enough to be terminated, but enough to put it in suspension. So this is somewhat of a risk here. Now, this could be hard to go through because, like we said, there's 402 different statuses out there. So what you can do is use this normalized status, where we go through and interpret these things, and we mark it as inactive. And we're gonna put those as two different options. It's either going to be active or it's going to be inactive. And so then you can programmatically, as you integrate this into your API and as this is processing through your software, you're going to get a feedback that says, hey, this business is active or inactive and may prompt further note. So it can kind of take it down certain paths. Now, if I was building this, I would use that as, like I said, a programmatic decision maker and put it in the this needs questioning right here. If it's inactive, I'm going to automatically put this in stipulations where someone's going to have to go and follow up further. And then you could display this string of suspended FTB, and then your underwriters could go through and check it and say, okay, this is something we need to dig further into, and this, or maybe not, or maybe we just decline the file altogether. I hope this has been helpful for you to see how these different statuses in the state can really vary and how it can be different for you and impact your business. I invite you to try the Secretary of State API. We have a free trial that it comes with, so you can go ahead and try it out. We also offer paid pilots, so you can try out a big number of searches and see really if the data is something that can be helpful for you. I'm Jordan Hansen. If this has been helpful at all, hit that like and subscribe button. We will help you out with what you're trying to do. Thank you.